If you're striving for better performance on your board, then you really need diverse thinking, because it's that diversity of thought that is the antidote to unproductive groupthink.
Ideally, we should be seeking a meritocratic selection of our best from the total talent pool available. We're not there right now, so using compliance as a tool is justified in the short term.
Diversity on boards is more of a matrix approach than a one-dimensional box-ticking exercise. We should not oversimplify what it means to bring diversity onto a board.
There have been tangible results in improving gender equity, but we still don't have enough or more diverse thinking on our boards as a consequence. Gender equity and diverse thinking are quite different things, and I think it's important that we don't elide them.
Diversity sounds neat and cool when you're on a panel. Actually implementing it and chairing diversity can be extremely difficult. Directors who are not up for diversity can often fall back on compliance and can become barriers to progress. To effect change and diverse thinking, you need to contextualise your perspective and the way you engage with directors. So, for example, that could mean taking an Aotearoa view of the world rather than a kaupapa Māori or Māori view. The kaupapa of diversity remains the same though. The messaging and delivery is different.
Companies need to appeal to 100% of the market when they're recruiting, 100% of the talent available. And if you don't, then I think that's a cost to the organisation. Both McKinsey and Harvard research suggests that there's a significant material correlation between diverse leadership teams and outperformance. So it's just good business to do it.
I often see on boards that there's an A team of extroverts and a B team of introverts, and chairs sometimes do not implement a policy of equity of airtime. So Team A dominates the discussion and Team B gets put in as an afterthought.
If we are to appoint brave people on boards, one of the most important things is that those people feel encouraged to express their views, whether they're supportive of the rest of the board or of senior management or not. But at the same time, those people need to know how to conform to the ethics of the board and the way that boards operate. So brave people who can work with their colleagues are really sought after.
Overall, embracing and encouraging diversity of thought does not mean boards have to compromise on skills, qualifications and experience. Purposefully adding diversity of thought as a consideration when appointing members and selecting new board members who bring diversity of thought, perspective and experience, and who can collaborate and challenge will absolutely enable better decision making.
Boards have to be mature enough for people to be able to have different views without it blowing up. Opening up a can of worms has to become an acceptable thing.
I'm often seen as the Asian woman stereotype. This means that I have to prove that I can lead and I'm not submissive. I often get pigeonholed. Directors expect me to conform to the stereotype of an Asian woman, and it can be confusing for them when I do not.
Boards should reflect their current and future market constituency. Put simply, they should mirror their clients. That way you'll embed a customer-centric approach and they'll make more money for longer.
Diverse thinking is not something that will simply improve with time. Action is required. We need to educate directors and chairs about how to bring that diverse thinking to the table, both by appointing diverse thinkers, but also encouraging diverse thinking from the whole board.
So if a board really wants to engage in diverse thinking, I think the first thing is it's got to have an open and safe environment. Accepting change is hard, and we know that pretty much all biological systems have a tendency to reject foreign antibodies. So from my point of view, it's important, firstly, that an individual who wants to bring diversity gains credibility. They are empathetic to what is. They start to build up goodwill with all stakeholders, board, management and others. And then they start to open up and have a dialogue based on the goodwill that they've built. And if they're not sufficiently persuasive, then they're not going to be successful. It's as simple as that.
Chairs and directors need to play the ball and not the man, to have robust conversations and listen respectfully to other points of view. Sometimes the most surprising people can be diverse thinkers. We need to avoid complacency. External regular checks and audits are important to prevent this sort of culture around a board table.
One of the big gaps I see in diverse thinking right now is hearing from the next generation of thinkers to influence boardroom decision making. It's not okay to filter that through layers and layers of middle management as opposed to hearing directly from the people who know and believe in it.
Diversity is a very important issue. It's important for our boards to remember why diverse thinking matters. It's about the quality and rigour of the debate and the robust decision making that comes from this. That ultimately will improve corporate performance. If we can improve the capability of our boards, we will make a significant contribution to New Zealand's GDP.
So one sign of a high-performing board for me is that they don't always agree. I mean, there's a real obsession, I think, with unanimity and consensus, but it doesn't have to always be that way. If you've got a really diverse board, sometimes some people are going to say nay.
One needs to be brave to speak up and contribute diverse thinking. I've built my confidence over time, but it certainly helps having other diverse contributions at the table. We have to be brave, speak up respectfully and be honest, especially if we do have a different view from others around the table.
Unfortunately, the appointment of diverse directors can sometimes be undermined by the concept of Chinese whispers within the director community. On occasions, we've seen individuals who have been described as possibly edgy, possibly contrarian. As that narrative takes hold, that can easily turn into a sentiment where they're non-collegial, disruptive, not team players, similar descriptions. Unfortunately, we've seen this impact the careers of some promising young directors.
Tēnā koutou katoa. Ko Kirsten Patterson taka ingoa. My name is Kirsten Patterson and I'm the CEO for the Institute of Directors in Aotearoa, New Zealand. Here at the IOD, we know that diversity is great for business. In our guide, The 5 Steps for Getting on Board with Diversity, we outline an action plan for board chairs and directors who are wanting to create a much more diverse working environment. Step 1 in that plan is to create an inclusive culture. And while there are growing levels of interest at board review level about how to create an inclusive working environment and how to manage through the complexities that sometimes diversity can bring, our research is indicating that at this stage we have not yet cracked it, and there's still a long way to go.
Research tells us that the single most important factor for effectiveness and ineffectiveness in the boardroom is the chair. For diversity to be successful in the boardroom, the chair leadership skills are even more important. There are 3 main areas that this happens. The first is it's important to have a team environment, and here learning to understand and know each other outside of the boardroom can sometimes be beneficial. The second is as it relates to inside the boardroom, and in particular that the chair fosters a collegial, open and inclusive environment so that there can be healthy debate and better decision making. The third is about managing effective meetings. With diversity, there is a greater discussion in the boardroom. So the chair needs to ensure that this is achieved in a timely fashion, it's summarised well, that they have good communication skills so that overall there's a shared board experience. So when we're looking at diversity, we do need to be looking at the chair to ensure that they have the necessary leadership skills to ensure that diversity is successful in the boardroom.